Hi Llama lovers, I'm Tomi Llama. In this video we're going to look at Chapter 4, Clear Yourself from What's Your Superpower, and specifically we're looking at the emotional scrap heap. Now if you've watched the previous video on the intellectual scrap heap, you know what a scrap heap is. If you didn't watch it, let me just give you a brief overview. A scrap heap is the same thing as our baggage. Our baggage are those stories, those emotions we haven't dealt with, any limitations or obstacles we place in our own path, and they usually develop in childhood where we don't have the tools or skill sets to resolve them, and then they follow us throughout adulthood. So we're talking about the emotional scrap heap. Where do these emotions come from? Well, for me, I'll give, by way of example, I'll show you where it comes from or where it might originate. For me, I was deathly ill when I was born. And I remember being 3 and going to the doctor with my mother. And my mother saying to the doctor with this really sad look of exasperation on her face, saying, hey, you know, what do we do here? And the doctor says, no, just take her home and make her comfortable. And I remember getting very angry at that. I didn't know why. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to express it. And it just bubbled and boiled on the inside. And then as I got older, my father didn't allow us to yell in the house. And I took not yelling, not being able to yell, to mean I also don't get to be angry. And so I got even angrier, and this anger followed me everywhere. And I might just be sitting there, and a little thing happens, and out comes this. And my brother has a nickname for it called Warrior Bitch. Warrior Bitch shows up, breathing fire, right? Just so angry, out of proportion to what's happened. But that's because I never dealt with the anger I was carrying around with me. And so I had suppressed my anger, right? So we can suppress anger, we can suppress these emotions, or we can dump them out. I call it vomiting all over our friends and loved ones and let them sort it out and give back to us what we're supposed to pay attention to. I call that a dump and run, right? I don't want to be dumping and running on people with my emotions. So through my anger, I have so many angry Tommy stories, it's crazy, right? And I decided that angry Tommy couldn't keep existing if I wanted to be a remarkable person with a remarkable superpower who did remarkable things in the world. And so I began the process of looking for what are the ways that we become emotionally mature so that we don't go around throwing our emotions on everyone. And I came up with a couple of things. First, number one, and in fact, when I watch Jerry Maguire, I cringe. In that movie, Jerry Maguire says, "You complete me." Nope, nope, nope. No one completes you but you. Only you can complete you. Only you can make you whole. So number one, only you can do this. Nobody completes you. And that's a lot of reasons why friendships and relationships break up, is because we're looking to the other person to complete us. We have such more magnificent relationships when we come in whole and meet another person whole. One of the greatest moments in my life is when I told Jim Bryan, you are no longer responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for whether I'm happy or not. So my emotions belong to me, right? Only I can deal with my emotions. And I need to sort through them myself. Instead of saying, you made me angry, I have to say, wow, I'm really angry in this moment. And I think I need to figure out why before I finish this conversation, because I may say something I regret. So I'm responsible for my emotions. Nobody else can make me happy. Third, we have to get rid of what's bubbling inside. For those angry Tommy stories, I journaled. I wrote down, and in fact, I told my husband, you better burn those things upon my death. No one should ever read those, because I wrote down everything I was angry about, and it was just silly, inconsequential stuff, but the anger kept piling up and piling up and piling up so high that there was only this room, this much emotional capacity left for me. And that wasn't enough. So I had to start clearing it away. So get a journal. Write down everything you're mad about, burn it in a fireplace. I pointed over there because we got a fireplace in this room. If you don't have a fireplace, put it in a pot and light it up in the backyard. Make sure you're not near anything that can catch on fire. Or go out into nature and shout. We have a huge, massive tree in the backyard. I go out there and shout at that. You know why? Mother Nature has taken every ugly thing we've ever given it, handled it, and not given it back. Right? So I go out and yell at the tree, and the tree just smiles back. So you gotta get rid of that emotion in some ways so that you can empty yourself and start over. Another important thing I did is, in our house we had the 24-hour rule. Whether you were mad, angry, celebrating, happy, whatever, you got 24 hours. Drink the tequila, drink the champagne, toast yourself, dance all night long. Whatever you need to do to express the hurt, the anger, the love, the happiness, the joy, the celebration, do it for 24 hours. And then when the 24 hours is over, you have to get back to your life, because whether the moment was good or bad, it's just a moment in your life, and it is only defined by you. It's only a defining moment if you allow it. So instead of the moment defining you, you define the moment. Don't let that moment freeze you and lock you in place for the rest of your life. I see that happening to people, and it breaks my heart. Now, I'm not saying stop grieving. It's been 20 years since my father passed away, and I still cry at certain things because they remind me of him. And tears are simply, grief is simply a manifestation of the deepest love that I had for my father. So I'm not saying don't grieve. What I'm saying is don't let that freeze you. So celebrate for your 24 hours. Take the lesson from what happened. How did this benefit you? And move forward with that, because that's the thing that will make the difference for you. So that wraps up emotional maturity and how to counteract the emotional scrap heap. If you have questions, you know how to reach us, email, or you can send us a Facebook message. We always love to hear from you. Thanks for joining me, and take care.